And we're live.
Yeah,
Dave, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm alright, man. How are you?
I'm digging your tasty jams.
That is some fine, almost in tune guitar playing right there.
Not that I know.
Really, that track's all about the bass line.
Nah, shit up.
How are things, man?
I'm gonna right up to 69. Hey.
See,
thank you very much to everyone joining us.
People think I'm just all about the hardcore, but you know, it's all about the slow jams.
Well, you can kind of like you can throw your hand at anything as well. Like it's what can't you do? You know? Yeah.
Plenty of things.
Plenty. So how does it find
my missus? What?
Anything strange, startling, or exciting?
Strange was that in my many years, I never thought I'd step outside my back garden and see the Aurora Borealis.
Oh yeah,
right there, as it was on Friday night, which was nuts. And then I had to wake my kids up and be like, "Get outside, Northern Lights," and they were like, "What are you talking about?" And so we were standing in the back garden looking at the Northern Lights, I suppose, on a Friday evening in Dublin, which was quite odd and great. And then I spent the rest of the weekend telling my kids how lucky they were that they didn't have to wait 47 years to see something. And they were like, "Yeah, cool, okay."
We completely missed it. Like we woke up to social networks telling us what we missed, and everyone had this what looked like to be the same kind of photo with a silhouette of them in front of the sky. Completely missed it. Had no idea. I didn't even know it was coming up. I was just either with work or with kids, and I think I was probably having fallen asleep at 8 o'clock on the television anyway, alongside my wife, and there was no Aurora Borealis for us. It was just This
is Old Men, the podcast. What we do on a Friday.
Trying to stay awake. I think like that narcolepsy apocalypse. That's going to be probably one I'll welcome. You know, stop. Sleep.
Just any apocalypse, really. Just like finally, I can rest. You know, my work is done.
Or does the real work begin though? Then I think it does.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know. I think like you're looking for.
I mean, we're all dead. You know. Who's gonna be working? They're out for Coca-Cola. Still haven't got any Coke money yet. Come on, guys. Send us your Coke cash.
Don't cheap out on it, guys.
Or just give us those vouchers you get from the return machines. You know, I can use it against my shopping at Tesco.
Have you
Tesco? Send us more things.
Or have they just not worked every time you go to use them like everywhere else?
No, I've been very fortunate insofar as I've never used one.
What?
So, I am married to a rabid recycler.
Okay.
Who legs it down to the return machine at any given opportunity with all of their cans, and and I don't know. I like this is probably pure snobbery on my behalf, but I just don't know if I could stand there at a machine pushing cans in, and that's what they want. That's what they want. It's a secret tax, everybody. But I don't think it is. But they just want idiots like me to not do it. You know?
It'll be guys like us just letting it fall apart. But she'll keep us in some kind of.
She'll keep the planet spinning.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, and we'll just let it burn.
And it's a strange one. Like, I mean, everyone here pays for recycling anyway. Why pay for more recycling? Like, it doesn't seem to add up.
This is really going to get into grumpy old man cast stuff now, you know. So let's just veer away from that. I'm sorry I brought it up, to be honest with you, but it's you know, what are you going to do? You got to try.
Yeah,
you got to try to save the world.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, like, look what we're talking about. You know, got to try to save the world. Whether I will or not is another story.
I don't think we will. Like two of us, there'll be a bigger guy on the block with a gun. He'll just take anything we have in the cupboard, all the cans, tin food, you know.
Kidneys, the works. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever he
Yeah.
wants, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
cool.
always been that way, Ben. Survival of the biggest, you know?
Yeah. So we'll see you in the gym tomorrow then?
Not a chance. So what's been happening in your world? All good?
Not much. More just kind of more work, more odds, a bit more drawing done this week. I had a good night on Monday. It was just a productive Monday. And I'm slowly getting into really tasty bit in issue 4 with a character that is new. So I'm toying around with the idea of possibly drawing this guy tomorrow night on the stream because it would be relatively spoiler free.
Okay.
But otherwise, I might just draw some backgrounds. But if you tune in tomorrow on my stream, you'll see the odds in progress.
Woo!
Yay!
I'll be tuning in.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, heckling in the back.
Just making sure you're doing it. Draw faster. Yeah. That's brilliant, man. Yeah, nice.
I think it'd be cool now if we moved into what's become one of my favorite segments of our show.
Which is?
Oh, I'm gonna show you. I have some stuff for us today.
You got some stuff for us, have you? What have you got? Come on.
Your
screen has changed, Ben.
What's happening? What's happening?
It's an odd apocalypse.
I'm about to present. Are you ready for me to present?
Like a presenter.
Hey.
It's Clayface himself.
It sure is. I think the artist in this trial like must be having a field day drawing him. Like it just must be the easiest, funnest one to do he's ever had his whole career.
Definitely taking the piss, yeah. Which is brilliant.
I mean, they probably can't get it wrong. You know, it's deadly. Yeah.
Like look at Trump's head. I mean, is there an eye? Is it open?
It doesn't matter. You know, he kind of looks
like
if
it is open, it has no pupil. It's like,
and yet it still looks like
he's possessed. Yeah.
Yeah, that might things. That adds up, I think.
Possessed by many things.
And I do think like the judge looks like a kind of an older Chris Pine.
Oh yeah, there's a bit of that. Yeah. Bit of Raylan Givens in there as well. He's been nice to the judge.
Probably more right there with that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I had on there. Yeah, it's Raylan. I'd love it. Trump away. That'd be great.
Yeah, well, that'd be if he was the marshal that brought him in.
I'd be into that. Yeah. Have you got?
So Mickey Cohen is up in the box today. Yesterday he was giving his testimony and just straight up, I did it. I was told to do it. I was told to bury it until 2016. It all happened. Deal with it. And now I suppose the prosecution is accusing him of being a liar because he's been proved to be a liar before he lied to Congress and stuff. So it's all a bit it's just a bunch of numbskulls trying to make sense of the stupid decisions they've made that were all based in greed and laziness and just madness, and it's awful and it's hilarious to watch. But it's such an indictment of the world that these are, this is the man who could be president. Like it's kind of
scary. He very well could be president. Yeah, he's not out of the running in any which way, as far as I'm aware of.
In what will be a pretty dangerous era for mankind, I think the next 10 to 20 years, like the way things are going, Russia, China, the Middle East, like it's you've got Rishi Sunak kind of amping up the fear and the fear mongering yesterday, saying that Britain would be a lot less safer under Labour.
Did he actually say that?
And he said they need time now to build up the war chests, and it's like you've had 14 years, 13 or 14 years to do that, and you've just thought of it now when you're heading for an election. Like it's just everywhere is in bits, and everywhere seems to be run by morons. So yeah, and then since we spoke, you had Stormy Daniels, which is it's really weird that. Do you think it's weird that the Associated, not Associated News, but the Associated Press, like everybody in press, is referring to her as Stormy Daniels as her porn name? It's mental.
That never even occurred to me. That makes all the sense. Yeah, why are they doing that? Like,
it's like if and we'll get on to him later, but if Clayface, right, was arrested and tried
under Clayface.
Boris Karloff Clayface, original Clayface 1, if he's arrested and tried, the Gotham City news reporter is not going to refer to him as Clayface the whole way through the court case, is he? He's going to say Boris Karloff, aka Clayface, Yeah. But what we get on the news is Stormy Daniels, like, I don't know. The lady has a name. Use it. Like it's really odd.
Does it help her out in any way? Do you think? Like?
I suppose it's a bit of branding. I don't know. I mean,
like more people looking her up as that. I guess.
Yeah, it's not like I know anything about advertising or marketing, but like, it. Yeah, I mean, but it's a legal thing. It's her legal name. I don't know. I just think it's really odd. It's really odd.
I hadn't thought about that right now.
She's a character that she plays, that Stephanie Clifford plays. It's like, I don't know why this has come into my head, but it's like Madge from Neighbours, right? Madge from Neighbours ends up in the dock, right? And it's like, and Madge from Neighbours said X, Y, or Z, but really it was, I can't remember the lady's name who played, but it was her, But it's just so weird that a character is referred to in a courtroom under something that's so serious.
I would have assumed that, like, in the papers they might refer to her as Stormy Daniels, but I didn't think that
they do. About the third paragraph down, they eventually
use her name.
Otherwise known as, or they give her an AKA, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just like on the TV news, on all the podcasts, Stormy, and it's like, it's so strange, man.
Yeah,
it's like David Schwimmer gets up there and they call him Ross.
Well, you know what? That's
why are all my references from the 90s anyway? But
like, that's all people will think of when they see these things. So they click on that thing that's familiar to them, that thing that's been said. Oh, Stormy. That's probably more.
No, I get it.
Well, like, yeah, I'd say it's weird. I hadn't thought of it at all until you brought it up.
Like, if Robert Downey Jr. gets booked again for, maybe he falls off the wagon and wakes up in somebody's front lawn like he did 20 years ago in a Wonder Woman outfit after having the night of his life, right? And ends up in county court in California. Are they going to call him Iron Man the whole way through the proceeding? Like, I just think it's mad.
You know what? Like, that's a great way to get views, though, right? I mean, when it's one of those courtrooms where you can have the cameras in, everyone's going to tune in to see Iron Man.
The Iron Man trial.
Yeah. And then it actually is the Iron Man. It's not like someone who legally changed their name to something that's, I don't know, Mr. Spider-Man or something. I'm sure. But
I spend a good chunk of my life in that world, like, the one that doesn't exist, that exists in our heads, and even I'm like, this is wrong. This isn't. This is imaginary, But anyway, look.
What's not imaginary is Trump's apparent unwanted, I'd imagine, superpower, where he just all I'm hearing since you pointed out a few weeks ago was that he's just disgustingly smelly, and it's not getting better. Yeah, it's just he's letting it. He's not even crop dusting. He's just sitting in it the whole time there, and it's kind of just horrible. Cheeseburger and aftershave was the best description I heard of it the last few days. So nice. That's weirdly disgustingly spicy. You know, it's like, yeah, that sounds about right for him.
I mean, if you live on McDonald's, like,
Mm.
you know,
And this is McDonald's every day, right? Isn't that
maybe that's what makes him so orange. The cheese, the McDonald's cheese, the
maybe?
cheese.
Or if he's
Yeah.
drinking that
I mean, even McDonald's would say, please don't eat as much of this stuff as you're eating. Like
you're
they
hurting
wouldn't be
your
in that.
brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Not even that. You're hurting yourself. I mean, nobody was ever meant to eat McDonald's in those quantities, you know?
Yeah. Like this, there was a supersized me. He did it for a month, right? And this guy's been doing it for years and years and years. So it's got to
Yeah.
be.
And he appears to be, maybe it's the way to go. He appears to be bulletproof. So, you know, like misdemeanors, high crimes, they just bounce off him. So, you know, he was standing. I love this thing where he can't give like press conferences or whatever because he's in a trial, you know, but he stands in the carport in the court and shouts at reporters because he's not mic'd and it's just a big echoey. It's just a big echoey carport, and he's standing there yesterday with the New York Times poll, which had him up across the board, like had him up against Biden. And he was saying, "Oh, this trial is nothing. It's not hurting my brand, and it's a left wing conspiracy and blah blah blah." He also brought up RFK as well, which we'll get to in a sec. But and now he's talking, but it's insane. It's like you know, your mad neighbor in the apartment block you used to live in, who's downstairs in the car park, going, "That's not your space." You know,
like that's what I was going to say. It sounds like or even like a drunk guy swinging like Tesco bags, shouting at you in the car park.
It's insane.
It's not great. Like,
no, and I mean, again, bulletproof. It seems to be doing nothing but good things for his polling figures. So the world's like, you know, hanging on by a thread here. I mentioned RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. He of the crazy voice and face and all the rest of it, but the third candidate in the presidential election, who Trump accused of being a plot by Biden to split the vote because RFK seems to be gaining votes from the Trumpers as opposed to Biden getting them, you know. So he sees him as a threat, whereas like he would, you know, have a lot of shared values with the far right over there and their you know, the anti-vaxxers and stuff like that. But this is a man whose platform is all about, you know, natural health and, you know, not trusting science and, you know, vaccinations are bad and blah blah blah. And then he came out and said he had doctors found a worm in his brain. You're kind of like, you're looking at that going, maybe get vaccinated. Just get one vaccination. Like, get the one that makes sure there's no worms in your brain. Like,
and is this the one like that I've heard before? Like people who don't cook pork properly and look like with these, it's kind of a worm that kind of a parasite.
I don't know, man. You know, you could pick it up anywhere. I mean, you know, but let's just not. Let's, you know.
We got a couple of comments there about this image. Actually, we got Gary Maloney. All right, Gary.
All right, Gary.
Looking at that chin, and we all know what chin Gary's talking about because it's
comic book superstar Gary Maloney. I should say.
Yeah,
he of
who came out
When
today.
the Blood's Tried.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow.
New comic book day tomorrow.
Very good. And Kevin has popped in, say hi. Will Cash, the recording lights up. Keep up the good work, lads. Cheers, Kevin Smith.
Thank Kevin Smith. Yeah, Kevin Smith, I owe you something. I keep forgetting to send it, but I will send it. I'm very sorry. I'll send you two.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice one, Kevin. Doing well there. And Derek Yo,
Derek Hill. Hey, Derek.
Clayface or real? What would sell papers? Clayface or real name? Yeah, that's kind of what we're on about. The brand would sell more papers. The brand gets more clicks.
I know, but okay, that's the headline, right? That's fine. I'm fine with that. But then for the rest of the report, you've got Stormy, you know, and it's like, and Miss Daniels. I've heard Miss Daniels.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So putting some respect on it, you know, and it's like, doesn't exist. I don't know. It's insane to me.
Actually, now that you say it, I thought Daniels was her surname. It's Clifford.
No, Stephanie Clifford's her name. Yeah.
All right. Well, I gotta look
Yeah.
that up. I gotta look that up.
Don't look that up.
Oh yeah, maybe not. Maybe not right now. Not live.
Yeah.
On the things that
Yeah.
people shouldn't be doing
Oh,
live.
Ben's
Or,
logged off. He's gone off
yeah,
to check something
or you're on your own.
out. The magic of technology here.
This could be a good event. This could be a good something. This
Yeah,
is
there's a
kind of
few issues though, isn't there?
people have to go and ruin it. Like it's just.
I mean, in the filed under, this is why we can't have nice things. You know?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this could be a really cool thing. Like this is the portal that's open between Dublin and New York, and it lets people see a real time view of each city, and so you can go up.
Okay, but let's just clarify something here, right? Mm-hmm. It's called the portal.
It's not an
it's not a portal.
It's not even
we're not in the Krakoan age yet. You know, we're you know, we're not there yet when it comes to tech, but it's a webcam.
Yeah,
that's streaming live.
But it's also going to show events that are played in Dublin, in New York, and vice versa. So there'll be some like kind of stage shows that'll be available to see through this, and that's quite a cool thing to pick up on. I think there's a number of them happening or scheduled to happen. I think this month, maybe next month. But that's a really cool aspect of it, and I think it's
a really solid idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think there should be 10 of them around the country that you can, because we're such a small little country, and we send so many people everywhere. So everyone knows a Mick, everyone knows an Irish person, you know.
Yeah.
And it like, you know, we should have them in Kigali. We should have one in by the way, shout out to Huey in Kigali. Everyone knows an Irish person somewhere. Like, you know, Paris, whatever. Have them Azerbaijan. Who cares? Have them everywhere, you know. So we can see each other's life and experience and a little glimpse of like that. That's the great thing about it, I think. As an art installation, it's hey, there's other people. You know, it stops. It also stops othering. It's like they're just like us. Look at them. You know, which is really cool.
See some actual sun in the sky. You know, like on a regular basis. If they put it somewhere like I don't know, Spain. You know, France.
Well, yeah. I mean, where it is as well in New York, like it's just down by the Flatiron in New York, which is a nice part of town. Like it's all right, you know. But where it is in Dublin, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
You know, no offense to Panty and the guys up that part of town, but like North Earl Street's tough going.
It is.
Yeah.
I think they picked a difficult location for this to go.
No, I don't think I don't think it would. The problem, and we'll go into the problems, but I don't think the problems experienced would be any different if it was anywhere else in Dublin. I just think Dubliners are nuts, and it will attract a certain kind of element. And I sound like such a posh asshole saying that, you know, but it'll attract an element, Ben. The kind of people, Ben, you know, but like, but you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, and I'm almost surprised. I'm surprised at two things. I'm surprised it took this long for it to be turned off, and I think it recently got turned back on again.
I was back on at lunchtime today.
What it was, they got it turned off, and it has to be said, it's gone both ways.
Gone both ways, yeah. There was a lot of twerking on the US side.
I heard, yeah.
You know, and quite a bit of, as the Gardaí said, grinding going on the Dublin side. You know.
They didn't.
They did, yeah. There was a woman found grinding for at least 20 minutes.
You gotta leave room.
I'd love her, you know. Like, that's tough going on North Earl Street on a wet Monday, like, you know.
Probably standard on West Earl Street on a Monday. Really.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah,
I think with these things, these are potentially nice things. I could be there for everyone to enjoy and see some good in.
I think there will be.
You know, like
I think eventually this kind of thing will it'll fade into the everyday, and every so often somebody will walk by and go, "Oh yeah, New York," you know, and that'll be it, you know. But like, there was some mad stuff going on at the weekend. Like lads going up to us
Yeah.
with their phone numbers. You know,
All
give
right.
us a call.
Okay.
You know, trying to
Yeah.
get people on the other side to
Ring
give them
them.
a ring, and they were getting calls and stuff, and that went both ways and everything. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
funny. That's cool. I'd be into
that
that.
was cool. There were also really offensive things going on. So,
Not
like,
so.
you know,
Yeah.
Dublin humor being what it is, somebody was showing a video of 9/11 to
Yeah.
people on the other side. Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
as
Uh,
Joe Duffy said, Dublin, you've disgraced yourselves again. You know,
yeah. Yeah.
um,
That's poor form. That's in very bad taste, and
it's what we do. Like, if
it's
there's
what
an opportunity to
it's
offend, we
everyone.
kind
You
of
know?
do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and anyone will do it given the opportunity. And I'd imagine there is more good than bad out of this, but then the bad is pretty bad, and the bad is what get headlines.
But
Hence,
there's been a lot of mooning as well, you know, and you know, who really cares? That's just morons getting their bottoms out, as I'm sure the Guardian would say. Yeah, it was an awful
grinding.
grinding. Yeah,
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 grinding. They actually use the word grinding.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, saw it in quotes in a lovely report on theirishtimes.com.
Oh, very good. I'm
Um,
gonna read that now and try not to laugh when I read the word grinding.
grinding.
And
Yeah.
not hear it in exactly that tone, that voice.
Well, that's how I read it anyway. That's for sure. You know. But yeah, you know, look, fair play. Each to their own.
Yeah, I mean, great idea. I totally agree. I think this could be really good, and I think it could lead to more of these things. I think it could be very positive, and I would like to see more of them. It's just, it's an awful pity you can't let everyone just be cool. You know, there's going to be someone who ruins it for everyone else. And but
Yeah.
on maybe the note of someone making things better for everyone else, the opposite of it.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
Nick Cage makes everything immediately better. Let's face it.
Yeah. I'm very happy with this. This sounds amazing, and it's going to be live action.
So yeah, so the Amazon upfronts were this week, and there's loads of news coming out from them, and we'll get to some of that news across the show. But this one is the first bit of news, which is live action Spider-Man noir series starring Nick Cage, who's 60.
Yeah, and it's about an aging Spider-Man dealing with being the only superhero in the city or something.
Yeah, in his universe. Yeah.
And in his whole universe, or just in the city?
Well, I think it's in his whole universe, Spider-Verse. Little section of the Spider-Verse, but the fact that it's live action is going to be really interesting. Like, will he be suiting up, or is it just his voice?
It's got to be a bit of both, right? It has to be some kind of amount or mixture of each.
I'm not sure we're even going to see the character's face. You know, it could just be masked up because it's very much straight. You know, 40s, like. As depicted in Spider-Verse, but you know, like we'll see what happens with it. But it's a really interesting move.
Oh, it could be really good. I'm hoping.
I hope to God it is. Yeah,
I hope it's going to be shot black and white. Has to be. Like I'm hoping for some major chiaroscuro. I'm hoping for some really good art choices. I think you can do a lot with this, and I think the character is really interesting. A lot of fun too. You know, he's a Spider-Man that beats up Nazis. You know, it's yeah, I mean, I'll watch that all day, every day.
You can't go wrong.
No, I can't wait. I didn't even hear a rumor about this possibly. I mean, maybe last year there was talk about it, but I didn't think it went anywhere since like last summer.
There was talk about a show, but I don't think anyone was expecting it to be live action.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone was expecting Nick Cage to be on it, even if it was animated, because it was like Nick Cage isn't going to do a TV show.
He was associated with it, but I assumed it was going to be like a 2D Marvel animation, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so happy with this. I'd have been happy if it was 2D Marvel animation too. But yeah, this is great news. Delighted with this. I can't wait to see this.
It's gonna be nuts.
I mean, talk about it.
Did you read any of the comic books? I got the first. I remember the first series.
Yeah.
That's the only one I've read, and like It's
Well, it was
great.
hard to get after that. Like it was kind of stop starty. It was here, then it
Do like
wasn't.
4 issue runs and stuff. Yeah, yeah. But
It,
it was
it was
such a
I
good idea.
generally picked up after the fact. I didn't know it was coming. It was something I found out because someone told me.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's brilliant. Like it's just so good. It's so cool. It's just a really cool take on a character we're all very familiar with. And yeah, this could be something pretty interesting because generally when there's a character that not everyone is completely aware of, there's a bit more free reign with them. And I think this could be one of those kind of characters. We could see something really good here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It's gonna be something anyway, one way or the other.
who do you have doing music? Who would you have doing the score?
Spider-Man more score. Ooh. I don't know. Andrew Eldridge from the Sisters of Mercy.
What was I know he's not around anymore, but
It's Frank Sinatra. No.
Taxi Driver. Arnold Sherman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Some of that kin would be just brilliant. I'm not too sure. I only know like lo-fi jazz and lo-fi stuff. I don't know anyone who's.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think Daniel Pemberton's Spider-Verse score, and he has kind of strings for the noir characters, so it's perfect. Like, so we'll probably see a few of those signatures. But it's weird. Like, it's going to be made by Amazon and MGM, who Amazon own now. So I presume Sony are in the mix somewhere,
right? Yeah.
Through Amy Pascal Pictures production deal. So I presume she's involved in it, like, because she kind of owns Spider-Man at Sony. So it'll be interesting to see. But she's like, Spidey's not the only character to be farmed out to Amazon, according to the upfronts.
There was someone else. Close your eyes. I'm gonna scroll past something and go right down to it. Everyone look away.
We can all see it anyway. It's fine.
There we go.
Dun, dun, dun. Batman, Kid Crusader. Yeah.
I didn't hear about this either. This is something you just had me before we came on today.
Well, this has been brewing for a long time. So this was announced a couple of years ago as a Max show, HBO Max show. So it was Bruce Timm's triumphant return to Batman at Warner Brothers. And then Warner Brothers went, we'll sell it to Amazon. And it's like, okay, don't know why. You've got your own streaming channel, but no, they kind of farmed it out, which is great because I think more people will get to see it now, because Amazon's definitely has a larger global footprint than Max does. So that's kind of great. Look at that design, though. What does that say to you?
Old school Batman. We're seeing very early Batman here.
Huge Mazzucchelli influence, and then you've got the gloves from the original kind of 39. They're not purple as far as I can tell, but yeah, I mean,
tall, flat ears as well. It looks like it's that old school, like before he became the Batman silhouette that we're usually familiar with. And
the details they get, like, they released a ton of details as part of the upfront, right? Do you want to hear the skinny? So Tim was saying this is way away from Batman the Animated Series, right? So where Batman the Animated Series had, which is the greatest iteration of Batman so far. Let's see what this is like. But where you had a mixture of 40s, 50s architecture, car design with kind of more modern technology, computers, etc. You don't have that in this. This is set in the 1940s. That's it. It's like pure 1940s. You are going to have a whole new Harley Quinn, who has nothing to do with the Joker and is a villain, but it is also a shrink in Gotham City. She's an Asian American character. She's terrifying looking, right? And like her in her makeup and everything, like she's like way scarier than anything you've come across. But she is Bruce Wayne's shrink.
Oh, that's good.
That is amazing, isn't it? I mean, how come nobody's come up with that before?
That's
You
a
know?
great take. I mean,
Yeah. And Tim refers to Bruce Wayne as being a complete weirdo, right? So
well, yeah,
he's
that
like,
makes sense.
yeah, he's like Bruce Wayne is so weird. It's not that he's obsessed with his parents' death. It's that he's never gotten past it, and
Okay.
he's just built this whole persona of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And Bruce Wayne is the kind of flesh suit that he wears, but he's just Batman 24/7. He's
That's
just
cool.
and all of his thought processes are Batman's thought processes, not Bruce Wayne's. So he's a horrible character in this. Like he's devoid of any humanity, and presumably the arc is going to be how he learns to be human again. But we'll wait and see. It looks nuts. The original Clayface, Boris Karloff, it'll call back to the top of the show. He's in it too, and the image of Carlo that they've released, look it up online. Oh, just
Really?
chef's kiss.
Okay.
He looks like the Shadow. So he's got the hat and the red handkerchief, over his face, but you can see a huge hole in his face, and he's holding a little stiletto blade, and it's just everything a 40s show should be. Great shots of Commissioner Gordon, Alfred. It looks so good, man. It looks so good. It's 10 episodes. It's dropping on the 1st of August.
Very good. Not too
Yeah.
long to wait then. That's great. And
No.
10 episodes sounds good as well. It's not like they're just throwing a whole lot of stuff at us. That's a good number.
And they're dropping all on day one.
Fantastic. Oh, really? It's all going to go out one time?
One lot.
I do prefer when it comes week to week,
Me too. But I think I grew up on the animated series, man. I'm going to be watching that from start to finish on day one. Okay. I need to book the time off work now. What day is the 1st of August? Look it up. But yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
It looks
the whole look of him there looks like. So I think your take is right there. If this is early Batman, it would make sense that he's that guy who has to learn how to put on a false look, an idea of what a person is, as this very popular. Everyone loves Bruce Wayne individual, Whereas I don't know if you ever saw. You probably did because you've seen all these things. But the Batman, it was kind of like an animatrix between the Dark Knight and Batman.
Oh yeah.
And there was lots of Bruce Wayne learning to become Batman in that. It was always him learning a new skill, how to take a beating, how to give a beating, that kind of stuff. And you'd never seen him kind of learn the skill of acting to be a person. So yeah, to see him kind of go from this iteration, which is that old school hat, old school gloves, old school symbol on his chest, trying to learn how to be Bruce Wayne is an interesting take on the character as well. And I mean, what do you think? Episode 8, we find out that Harley Quinn knows who he is.
I think it might be the whole way along.
Yeah. Yes, that sounds cool. Great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. And one other big name character was mentioned is Catwoman, and they've gone right back to the original look as well. So it's not black leather; it's the purple dress look. That look. So so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, can't wait.
All with that kind of Bruce Timm aesthetic that we all kind of associate with DC shows, the 2D shows now these days. So it can't look bad. But looking forward to it. The premise sounds fantastic. Do you want
to hear my Bruce Timm story?
Yeah.
So I'm at New York Comic Con years ago, like 2011, I think 2011, and I think it was still in February then, so it was bloody cold, and down at the Javits Centre, and I leave, and I'm standing outside, and Bruce Timm, like that kind of concourse out the front of the Javits Centre, that it's where the cars pull up. So it's a carport where the cars pull up. Me, Trump, Bruce
Yeah,
Timm.
Trump kill
Bruce
anybody.
Timm. Bruce Timm is sitting outside and he's trying to light a cigarette, and this kid walks past him. I'd say he's like 18 or 19. This guy walks
Right.
past him, and he does the
The look, yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I'm just watching this going on, right? And he walks over to him, and he's like, "Oh, now Bruce Timm had massive lines, like huge lines in the convention center for signings and stuff like that, like, you know." And then this kid just sees him out in the street, and he's like, "Oh, yeah."
Opportunity.
So he goes over to him, and he's like, I can see the conversation. I can see Bruce Timm's shoulders just. And I don't know what was said, but the kid went away happy. But Bruce Timm was just like,
Fair play to Bruce then.
and then he lit a cigarette, and I'd say he had the greatest cigarette of his life right then, you know. But don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. You will die.
That's kind of
You'll die anyway.
You often kind of hear like stories like where, you know, don't meet your heroes. This guy was really mean to me, and Bruce, who's had these crazy cues, justified crazy cues, would be wrecked, tired, still manage to send away a fan happy. You know, that speaks levels to who he is as well. That's cool. You know,
Yeah.
not all heroes wear capes, I guess. Some of these guys do though. Boom.
Sure.
Tomorrow. I can't wait. I think every episode has just been so good.
It makes me sad that it's over, but I'm also very happy that it happened at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this has been better than anything we deserved. It has kind of come out of nowhere from Marvel with such a huge, worthwhile impact on all the material that we all know and love, but also made it accessible to people who don't know the material. Because I mean, you'd have to say like the MCU has been a huge success. It brought in loads of new people, but you like had to go back and watch 20 films to get up to date if you hadn't seen the last 20 films, because the narrative kind of followed on. And this has been really good. It is carrying right on after 1997, and in no way do I feel like it warranted a lot of heavy reading or hours of watching before you got in. You could just get straight into it, and it's added so much to these characters that I grew up loving. It's just been a real treat. I can't wait to watch this tomorrow. And I can't wait to see what happens in the next season. I'm sure there'll be plenty. Bo DeMayo seems to know exactly how to write a show, and it's just so good.
Has he been rehired?
I don't think so.
No, because you got the flick, and then he was very quiet. And then I've seen him on Twitter engaging with the show and with the fans now over the last couple of weeks. He had this great tweet, which was, if you press skip intro on an episode of X-Men 97, all the X-Men die. And he's right. So don't skip the intro, because it's a banging soundtrack.
Yeah,
that bass line alone.
No, it's brilliant. It's also like it's the way they changed bits about the intro. They give you kind of a heads up what's to come is so interesting. It's so much fun to figure out as well.
A few red herrings there as well.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that will never come. Stuff that's been redone from the past. Well, maybe, but I don't see Apocalypse showing up tomorrow. But, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you know? I don't know. I mean, anything is possible, I feel. I mean, last week we got to see, like...
Fatal Attractions.
I mean, like, we got to see, like, Wolverine have a moment that I thought would be done in a cartoon, because first off, I thought it would be quite difficult to pull off, but it looks like we're going to start seeing Wolverine without his adamantium next week.
Bonerine, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to see what Xavier does. I think they've really set up Onslaught. I think we're going to see Onslaught or either hinted at in this episode tomorrow or set up for season 2.
I mean, I know they really compressed the storylines, but I'd be really happy if Onslaught appeared in season 3. Because Onslaught took a lot of time to from, you know, in the comic books from when all that happened, you know, and Xavier eventually released his his evil
Yeah,
side. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I would be really happy with a spin-off X Factor
yeah,
of the original X-Men doing their X Factor bit, because we're going to have to change the lineup for season 2 and season 3. There's going to be, you're going to have new X-Men come and go, and I don't know if we should have a core group the whole way through now,
yeah.
because there's
I,
so many X-Men, and it's the tradition of the comic to kind of shake things up,
I think they'll go back to something like we were talking about this a bit last week, because you had seen the teaser for last week's episode before
Mm.
we show, and you had said we saw Wolverine in his brown costume,
Best suit ever.
and yeah, I totally agree. And then we also saw like Rogue in her old costume, one of my favorite Rogue costumes ever, and I feel like we could see a split here. Like we talked about Rogue possibly becoming leader. We could see two different X-Men teams. We could see Storm, now that she has her powers back, as a leader, and we could see Rogue as a leader for some other ones. Or she'll team up properly with Magneto. On the fence with that, whether that'll happen or not. But there's so much that could still happen, because it's drawn from all the original material, but it hasn't stayed to it religiously.
No, they're not beholden to any particular timeline on this stuff. Like, I mean, you could see Rogue and Magneto leg it off to the Savage Land, even though there were references to that happening previously and stuff, but they never really got into it. So, like, you could see that happening at the end of this episode tomorrow. You could see him going back to Asteroid M and Exodus and all that stuff. Because I mean, that was that scene from Fatal Attractions when he pulls the adamantium out of Wolverine, like that was all in that, back in the day. Remember the hologram issues?
I mean, like, I remember it vividly, because I've been meaning to look
over there. They're sitting over there. Yeah.
Well, then you might be the guy to run it past, but I'm almost certain that shot of Wolverine getting adamantium ripped out of him is almost right out of the comic, right? It's the same angle, same pose as I think from the comic.
It is, because he's on his back, and he's but on the front, on the cover of that issue, he's actually on his front, and he's been so it's a different angle, the Kubert cover, but
my head
nerds, no, but it is the same in the comic, he gets bashed around. It was heartbreaking back in the day when you saw it happen. Like, what a cool idea. It's one of those ideas where you're like, I can't believe no one's thought of this. The guy's made of metal.
And then, it's like you get things confirmed, like where I had thought up until that point that he didn't have claws. That was part of the metal that was put on him. It turns out as bone claws.
But that's a callback to his original appearance, right? So where you've got him in the first year of well, not the very, very first appearance in 181, but when you've got when you got him joining the X-Men, right? And he's on, I think he's on the Blackbird, and he might be heading to Ireland to Cassidy Keep, and he's not wearing his gloves. So they've only seen him with his gloves, which have the steel knuckles, which are like sheaths for the claws. And then he pops his claws on the plane, and they're all sitting around. And I think it's Banshee who's like, Faith and Bagara, because none of them thought that his claws were a part of him. They thought they were in the gloves. They thought they were a weapon that he just used in the gloves. So there was that, and I think that was the reader. Like Sean was a proxy or a surrogate for the reader, because it had never really been investigated at that stage. And I'm sure it was a matter of some debate amongst Len and whoever, and Chris Claremont and John Byrne and whoever was working away on that stuff, as to what was the deal with this guy, but probably not Roy Thomas, who claims he created Wolverine, but I don't think he created Wolverine.
Can you imagine how different it would have been without that decision being made? Because there's so many people today that don't even know Wolverine has a costume. They think of him as a guy in a leather jacket, check shirt, pair of jeans.
The cool guy in the world's greatest jacket. Yeah, I
You
hate
know?
that. And that he's 6'8" or something. You know, he's
Yeah.
five foot
Well,
three.
yeah,
He's one of the few superheroes in the world that I can say I'm taller than. You know, I felt robbed, absolutely robbed, Ben. As a man of average or lower height, you know, I felt robbed by that Australian giant who came along and started playing Wolverine.
crazy.
But originally there was a Scottish fella who was like my height who was going to play him, and he couldn't do it because he was contracted to Mission Impossible 2, the worst Mission Impossible movie. And yeah, Dougray Scott was cast as Wolverine, and he would have been great, you know, but he Mission Impossible 2 ran over on their shoot, and he had a clause to say that he'd be available for anything extra. So he was the villain in that. So he had to step back from X-Men, and they hired Hugh Jackman.
Wow. Didn't realize that was a possibility even. Wow, that's cool.
There you go, see? Yeah. I'm old. I was there. I wasn't there, but you know.
So you're not thinking Onslaught will be hinted at tomorrow. You think maybe there'll be a seed.
Oh, it could be. They speed through the you know the plot lines on this thing. You know, you can call me Madeline Pryor. They fly through the plot line so quickly. So it could easily be Onslaught, and it could easily be Cassandra. You know, like it. You don't know. You know, I mean, the final shot of X-Men 97 tomorrow could be Cassandra waking up. You know,
yeah.
So well, you don't know. You know, or it could be Danger. You know, it could we could have a Zorn by the end of the episode. You know, like they fly through the stories. You know,
yeah, they really have. And that might be one thing that is like, oh, okay, I'm happy to go along with it. I find myself saying that in the show, but then I always find myself happy that I have done that. Like I feel like it's paid off.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's not the same experience as sitting down with a stack of X-Men issues, or it's going on to Marvel Unlimited and reading loads of X-Men or whatever. It's not the same experience. It's a different experience, and it's like it's the cliff notes of the X-Men, because there's so much. There's so many pages of X-Men since 1963 or whatever. You know, like there's like you were there in the 90s, and I was really there in the 90s when there were so many spin-offs.
Yeah.
You had X-Force, X-Factor, New Mutants. You'd you know, all of the Age of Apocalypse stuff. Wolverine had his own book. The minis of Deadpool, Gambit, Storm, Rogue. Yeah. Then you'd Cable. He had his own thing. It just kept going, and there were loads of new announcements this week by Marvel on. So the Krakoan age of the comics is done, and so there's new comics starting. Or a whole new, well, not a new continuity, but new issues coming out. So you've got X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, whatever, blah blah. But you've also got Storm and Rogue having their own books, which is interesting, and that might go back to what you were talking about with Storm and Rogue in the show, because they do try to kind of, you know, if not sync up with what's going on in the comics and what's going on in the MCU or TV or whatever. But they will try and offer something for people who are coming in from outside, you know. And X-Men has always been a gateway drug for loads of Marvel fans, you know.
And I think it's the smart choice, something like that, because there's so many people who are into, you know, learned about Captain America for the first time because of the MCU, and then they went to go into buy a comic book, and they realized, oh, Steve Rogers isn't Captain America. Who? And then there was homework involved for them to catch up with that character, and I think, you know, to accommodate something happening currently in comic books as well as have their own TV show would be really. They just give them more long.
Oh, you can still buy the X-Men 97 book, which came out as well, you know, which is a big hit in my house, let me tell you.
Good stuff. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's going well. Hey, do you want to see some toys?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So
are you right on X-Men toys here?
No X-Men toys yet. They're all upstairs. I should bring them down and play with them. But yeah, Nightcrawler, Storm, Rogue, both Magnetos. Oh, actually, one Magneto's here.
Hey.
Cyclops, Wolverine, long shots upstairs. Mojo, Mojo's here. Long shot is upstairs, and Spiral, which is the greatest action figure ever made. By the way, the engineering in that thing is unbelievable. Anyway, Spider-Man. Let's look at Spider-Man retros.
Yeah,
you like this guy, don't you?
I'm a bit of a fan. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, look at this.
Alrighty. Yeah. So this is the last line, I think, of the retro Spideys, which are great. And then we've got all bought at the lovely Big Bang Comics.
Hey. Oh,
our friend Erica Schultz's finest. Hallows Eve comes with the masks and everything.
Oh, cool.
I've had these a while. I just haven't opened them because they look amazing in package. I do open figures, but now this guy, right, Lonzo, Tombstone. Look at that face.
I like how they managed that top just right. You know.
Huh?
I like how they managed that top just right. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite villains in Spidey.
He's become pretty great recently as well, with him kind of being the head of Mafia.
He's the best thing about Zeb Wells' run on Spider.
I totally agree. Yeah.
The best
he's gone from being a kind of a fun hitman you kind of enjoy that Spidey will actually beat to this almost unbeatable Mafia leader.
But if you go way back to the Robbie Robertson story about Robbie growing up with Lonzo back in the day, you know, that's such a great story. And like, of all the guys in the Spider-Man universe and Peter Parker's world, Robbie's the solid one, you know. And then he starts being all shaky and shady, and because Tombstone's back on the scene. Oh, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then this crazy dude, Jack O'Lantern, who was a big feature of the 80s back in the day. I don't know what he's up to these days, but yeah, just nuts. He showed up recently in Spider-Man. It's amazing. But yeah, go buy Spider-Man figures. Nice. They're awesome.
Pick them up today, or just kind of over the last few weeks?
No, I got these ages ago, but I think a good few of them are still around. I think Tombstone might be sold out at this stage, but yeah, they're just, there's just piles of.
If any of you guys want to pick up some of those action figures, hit the Big Bang.
Yeah,
always there. Combo shop. Great bunch of lads.
Great bunch of lads. Yeah. Big Bang Comics today.
Up in the shop recently?
No, I picked up my books last week. There wasn't a whole lot last week. Let me see. There was. I mean, Alex Ross's covers on Fantastic Four are they're just amazing.
Anytime Alex Ross is on anything, it's kind of just a big hit, isn't it?
But the FF stuff is just so good because I don't know. It's just no one does Ben Grimm like him, you know.
Yeah. And Ben Grimm, when people are drawing him, they tend to go with kind of monstrous.
Haven't read any of this yet.
I still haven't bought that actually, the Big Bang yet. I have to actually go pay for that and get it delivered. But that looks cool. That cover as well.
New. Yeah, so that was me last week. Apologies to anybody I know whose book I didn't pick up. Oh, I should say Mike Norton's Revival. Remember Revival? That he did an image with Tim Seeley about people coming back from the dead. That's been set up at Sci-Fi as a TV show.
I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Very interesting, actually.
Yeah,
that was a good book. Yeah,
great book. Yeah, it was one of my favorite image books the last 10 years. Yeah, it's excellent. So
yeah, that's going back a while, right? That's like
it's going back a while. Yeah. It's like 10 years old.
Probably is one of those kind of ones. Yeah.
That's because we're old now, Ben.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on the hour. What else you got there?
So we got.
Ta-da!
You were up to episode 3 now. Is that right?
Yeah, I might watch the entire season before the year's out. You never know. Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? Lose yourself in it. It's absolutely brilliant. Walton Goggins,
Ah,
mm,
it's amazing.
he's played so many great characters, but I think this might be his best. The way they've slowly unraveled his story without giving us every bit of his story. Still don't know what happens in full detail, but I mean, it was one of those things like where you get to the last episode going, what are they going to do? I mean, they
Mm,
can't do that now. There was so many things left up in the air. How are they going to juggle these? And then they stick that landing and they set up a really great season two. And the ending is very much setting up a season two. Hang
yeah,
on in there because there's a kind of an after credits scene. And it's just every character, you feel for them, relate to them straight away without being told like you have to. You just do.
no. There's a lovely undercurrent of vulnerability with everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And they
know.
shied away from being like ultimate badass stuff to like looking at the kind of silly, funny stuff, which I think
Mm.
really helped.
But it
Um,
makes it more human, definitely.
yeah, absolutely. Far more relatable almost straight away, like
Mm.
almost straight away. And you kind of really feel like you know that character. Then you kind of know what his instinct would be given the situation.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so well done. Like, I mean, I know people are talking about how good this was, but I don't think enough people are talking about it. It's so brilliant. I
Well,
absolutely,
again, like Amazon had their upfronts, and they had upfronts because they now run ads in the US and the UK. So they were showcasing their content to the advertisers, and yeah, they're behind this more than they're behind anything else. They're going back into production in September.
yeah. I just heard you were saying that today. I mean, for them to go straight back into that, I think Walton Goggins has pretty much gone from filming this to having a little bit of time off into White Lotus, and then pretty much will go straight back into this again. I mean,
Yeah, he's a man in demand.
well, you know, you have a hit when you're almost straight back into something like that as well. Like
Mm,
that's
mm.
that's brilliant. And they got everything right. I mean, the aesthetic, the kind of humor, the even the way the Pip Boys actually work, it's exactly like how you use it in the game. And you don't need, like X-Men 97, you don't need to have years and years of experience playing the game to get it. You can just get into it.
Oh, I've
My
never
wife,
played the game.
I've never played it. And
Well,
I thought this would be one of those shows we'd watch once a week. And I think there was one Saturday night where we watched 3 or 4 episodes right after the other. It was just that
mm.
good.
My
Um,
kids have played the game, and it was interesting. So they were watching it, and they were like, "Yeah, it's not like the game, but it's fine. You know, it's like it's in that world, and you know, you don't follow the story of the game. You're with characters who could be of the game. You know,
yeah.
and that
To
that
throw
that
back to
really
the
appealed to me.
episode of our odds pod with oh god, I don't remember who said it now, but it was a great line about adding to canon as opposed to trying to reinvent it. Who said that to us?
I don't know, but they're all there, available on any podcast platform. Just look
Yeah,
up the
go
Odds Pod.
back, listen to all those episodes, then come back and tell me who said it because it was a great line. And
There's only 50 episodes, so it'll be, you know.
yeah, you get there after 50 hours ish.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
fill me in. But I felt like this show very much embodied that idea. I think it's set later than any of the games by a good chunk of time.
Yeah, yeah, the lads were saying that, all right, yeah. Yeah.
But it's great. It just feels like another game, even at the very end, where one of our main character Lucy is given the choice. You feel like you're in that position in the game again, where you have to make a choice, and if you make a bad choice, you're going to get the ending maybe you don't want,
Perfect.
the ending you do want, and yeah, it's very very good. High stakes.
I'm going to assume everything works out, and then
I'm not
we'll
um,
because I like a happy ending, you know.
yeah, you get an ending.
Sure, Carl McLaughlin's fine.
Oof. Yeah, and you'll get an ending, and you'll be happy with the ending.
Oh,
But yeah,
okay.
yeah, but definitely go check that out. What else was there for us to talk about here?
You had your golf book.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick on that now with this guy. I don't know if I've told you about this yet. I think I did briefly. The Jay Kristoff book that I found it by accident reminded me of Andrzej Sapkowski's The Witcher series, because there's essentially a school of people who are trained to fight vampires, and it is just really good dark fantasy. They call it the grim dark fantasy, I think, because it's pretty grim. It gets really rough.
Grim dark reminds me of Fibbers in the 90s.
I mean, like, yeah, there's a bit of that. When you're reading it, it doesn't feel gothy. Maybe in the very end of or maybe the middle bit of the second book, it gets a bit gothy where you see a bit more of the vampires. But essentially, the vampires have taken over, and the school of people.
What kind of vampires are we talking about here? Are we talking big British kind of vampires ripping heads off and
they're brutal vampires. They're not the shiny, handsome things at all.
They're not like sylph-like, super intellectual.
There's some smart ones in there, but this is a callback to your very scary, hardcore horror.
Predators, monsters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. And he's kind of added things to maybe lore that you've never really heard before, which he really makes this his own universe. But if you like the Witcher series and you're like me, you've read them back to the front at this stage and you need something else, this was a good fix for me, and it's become a new addiction. I couldn't wait for the second book to come out in Audible.
So what's the setup? Have you got a hero or an anti-hero?
Yeah, called Gabriel de Leon, and he's the last of the Silver Saints, and the Silver Saints are essentially the Witchers of this universe. And
so they go chasing monsters.
Yeah, and you hear about he's kind of half monster himself. So the Silver Saints are these people who they're kind of half breeds. They're half human, half vampire, and they're trained then to go try fight these vampires. And they've been gifted. They're kind of like kind of like a warrior monk essentially. They go to a school, very Christian, and they have these tattoos based on their beliefs of their body. Tattoos kind of are laced with silver to help them fight these vampires. It's a hell of a read. It's really good. The dialogue is something I think you like. It's a lot of fun. There's some silly swearing stuff in this that will keep you laughing and engaged throughout. And there's kind of a camaraderie. There's a kind of Geralt Ciri kind of like maybe The Last of Us kind of relationship here, father-daughter thing. That's really interesting. It plays out very well.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
Can't recommend enough.
It gets a Ben recommendation.
Ben recommendation. What also gets a Ben recommendation? I've said it a few times.
Ooh, scary.
It is more monsters. And me and Dave.
That's just amazing design. I love that.
Right? Have you ever played like Dead Space?
Yeah.
Or like you're in your traditional setting. It was
terrifying game.
And then you realize, that doesn't work here. But like based on a manga, I believe there's an anime as well called Parasite. Spelled with a Y in there instead of an I. Boy, and I wrote down his name, Hitoshi Iwaka, and really popular. But I wasn't aware of him until now. But he's like sold like 20 million copies of this, 25 million copies over 30 regions. It's a huge book. But the series is one of those things I jumped in going, oh, cool, a fun little monster film. And by about episode 2, maybe episode 3, I'm like going, this isn't something I can just kind of sit back and enjoy. I need to pay attention. There's a lot going on here, and it's all very good. But considering we have so many monsters and things in the odds,
these are right up my street. And where's this on? This is on Netflix, is it?
It's on Netflix, yeah. And it's just another a great monster take on the possibilities of what aliens could kind of shape, make themselves look like. It's not something like I've ever seen before, and it's a whole new fear you'll learn about by how these things move, how dangerous they can be, how quick they can be. It's a different kind of monster. You haven't seen this before, and I'm liking more and more of this. We've talked about the Korean horror that's come out recently, or not even recently, or last several years. And just because it's a little bit different than the narrative we're used to in horror films, it just strikes a different chord, and it'll put you off your guard a bit more and make you think about what's going to happen. And it's brilliant. Can't recommend it enough. If it's not something you're watching, I believe I was just on Rotten Tomatoes before we came on tonight, and I believe it even gets a higher rating than X-Men '97. So,
Ooh.
right? Yeah. But it's really, really good. Definitely go check it out.
Yeah, it looks savage. Will.
I think that's all the stuff I
Oh,
have tonight. Yeah.
well, that's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of apocalyptic comic book and film and TV related news kind of happening, and it's all really good. It's all worth talking about.
Yeah, man. There's got the shed loads of stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So tomorrow, the X-Men '97 mini apocalypse happens. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, depending on the ending, I might need to ring you and just get some kind of like
we'll set up a support group. Yeah,
be pretty epic, I think. Yeah.
Pull in a few people. You know.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Tell me it's going to be okay, Dave.
Yeah. It'll all work out. It always does.
Does it though? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's us, man. We're running over by 10 minutes.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
They can find me on Twitter or whatever the hell it is these days on @DaveHendrick. You can find me on Instagram at @DaveMHendrick, Blue Sky, and the other one, Threads. And you can find the odds at the Odds Pods pretty much anywhere. And Ben, where can we find you other than Wexford?
You can find me, if you find me in Wexford, it's I don't leave the house much. But Fantasy and pretty much everything. Fantasy's art, I think, on YouTube, and Fantasy's Tick on TikTok. Yeah, not the smartest.
Yeah.
According to my TikTok, anyway. But yeah, you'll find me in all those things there, and I'm doing another stream tomorrow night. Going to be the odds. Please come join us. That's the crack. So on that note,
see you next week.
We'll leave you there now. Yeah. See you then. Bye.
Bye.